How you doing, YouTube family? Today is Tuesday, February the 11th, 2025. It's your man, Big D, and I'm back with another one. I want to thank you good folk out there that continue to show support to my son and I. He and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Family, we got to have a conversation. We got to have a conversation about where we've come from and where we're going. You know, there used to be a time where to serve in the United States military was an honorable thing. And I'm not going to come on here and say that all us veterans were, special forces, Delta Force, Rangers, all those, Navy SEALs, Green Berets, all those top tier elite units. Some of us may have been cooks, clerks, administration, medics, dental assistants, mechanics. But when it comes down to going to war, every one of those different MOSs that I named, and trust me, family, it's a whole lot more. Those are just a few. So although on a daily basis, you may not have that as a military soldier, you may not be in that top tier, tactical elite group like Special Forces or the Navy SEALs. You may just be the lowly little mechanic. But until combat comes. And now that lowly little mechanic find himself or herself on a C-130 heading over to the Middle East, heading over to Afghanistan. And although this little lowly cook, a lowly mechanic, a lowly clerk, one thing is for certain and two things is for sure. At the end of the day, everybody is trained on a semi-automatic rifle, which you flip a switch, it converts to a fully automatic rifle or a 3-round burst rifle. I don't know what they're using now, but when I was in, it was 3-round burst. So now that lowly cook, that while you was back in the rear and you chilling, you was whipping up, foods and whatnot, and you was a mechanic fixing the little vehicles and what have you. Now your ass is in combat, and now that shit real. Because, yeah, you may not be no Delta Force or no Ranger or no infantry, but I tell you what, though, when it comes down to it, everybody trained to be an infantryman or woman, and everybody trained with that rifle. And if it hit the fan, you better learn, you better pull something out your behind and learn how to be a Delta Force, Special Force, or what have you, because your life may depend on it. So it used to be a time that in this country that if when you served in the armed forces, you come home, you're a veteran, and a lot of veterans experience PTSD. A lot of veterans have sustained injuries as it relates to their service. And it is unfair that the people calling the shots ain't never done a day of basic training. It is unfair that you have civilians that are saying, "Oh well, you know what? Cut the Department of Veterans Affairs funding. Them veterans they don't need no money. But fact is that them same folk are always they always trying to tell you how to do it when they ain't never done it themselves. They trying to tell you how to do it when they ain't never done it. And I understand that not everybody gonna have the cojones or the balls to join an occupation where the tools of your trade is a weapon, are weapons. See, some of us, it's unfair for not just the country, but a lot of society to not appreciate the people that didn't hesitate to say, I'll join, I'll enlist. And whatever come of it, if it means I gotta, do my time, and if I have to wind up going to war and the unthinkable happens, that's just what it is. But for people to have the intention of cutting veterans, their finances, their health care, people that have went to pay the ultimate price for people who ain't never served, who ain't done a day in basic training, but they around here trying to say what veterans ought to have and what they shouldn't have and what they deserve and what they don't deserve. These people ain't never been nowhere. And it's so disingenuous for somebody to sit and say what somebody don't deserve when your ass didn't have the cojones to do it yourself, for you to give it a try. Now, with those politicians and those people that have served in the military, you're not going to find them talking all reckless like that. You're not going to find them talking about, oh, veterans don't deserve this, veterans don't deserve that, because as they know, it don't matter what your job was in the military, in the time of war, or because listen, there's always been wars and rumors of wars. So when you're in the military, you just never know. You just never know. You might be chilling today, and next week, your ass is in the desert. So people that have served in the armed forces, they don't talk reckless like that. The politicians that were service members, they don't talk reckless like that. But when you have civilians who ain't never ever done it, them the ones that's talking reckless about what people don't deserve and what people don't need, and budget cut this, budget cut that. What we got to ask ourselves is, where would this country be without those men and women that said that they would step up to the plate if need be and pay the ultimate sacrifice? Where would we be? Throughout history, there was always armies. There was always protectors. There was always those that they had to protect the weaker ones of the group. It's been that way since the beginning of time. There's always been the warriors who always had to look out for the sheep. And they ain't saying nothing bad about the sheep, because, hey, we need the sheep too. But we have to consider this, family. Somebody got to step up. What happens if people start enlisting the armed forces? What happens if people say, you know what? The hell with working with law enforcement. Man, I ain't. Why? People ain't going to appreciate it. Every day I put the uniform on might be the day I don't make it home. So people don't appreciate it. Society don't appreciate it. Because if they did, they wouldn't always look to cut funding for this, cut funding for the police department, cut funding for law enforcement. You always want to cut funding. But I've been to countries where they had minimal to no law enforcement. And when I say there was no structure, there was no structure. But I've also been to countries where, when you talking about law enforcement, you talking about in this country, your rights being violated, man, you go overseas, Listen, rights being violated, what's that? Yeah, you have you have rights to a certain degree, but I always knew that I'm not finna go in these people's country and acting a fool. Because I don't like to fool in my own country. But family, we gotta take note and understand that somebody has got to do the job. Somebody got to join the military. Somebody got to go work in law enforcement. Somebody got to work in the fire department. Somebody got to do them dirty jobs. And the people that's doing these jobs, sometimes even they get lackadaisical, because you'll find yourself doing a job, putting a uniform on, you strapping on bulletproof vests, all kind of utility belts, all your equipment, add on another 35, 40 pounds. And the whole time you strapping on all this Batman equipment, Glocks, modified AR-15 with the optics on it, tactical shotgun. You got all these tools, and to you, it's just another day at the job. It's just like the buddy that work in corporate America, and he walk in there with his little laptop. That's what happened to soldiers. That's what happened with people that work in law enforcement. They get lackadaisical sometimes, and they don't understand. Man, listen. You getting paid to potentially lose your life. And how much is your life worth? 100,000? 150,000? How much is it worth? My life is priceless. But somebody got to do it. And thank God we have people that's willing to step up to the plate and do it. Just as in times past, historically speaking, we had those individuals that had to step up to the plate and do it. I can only imagine what it was like defending my country, my city, my township. And when they didn't have all this advanced weaponry, all you had was a sword and a shield and a spear. And when I look at, man, listen, when I look at movies like 300 and what have you, I know it's a movie, but yeah. But in a sense, that's how they got down. You ain't have no bulletproof vests and ballistic shields and fully automatic weapons and optics and what have you. You didn't have lasers. You didn't have all that. All you had was a sword, a shield, and you better have some skills. Otherwise, you might not make it. And even back then, you had men that will say, you know what, I want to step up to help defend my people, my wife, my cousin, my mama, my daddy, even back in those days. So thank God we have people that stepped up to the plate. And we should look to take care of those people. We should look to make sure that we take care of our widows and our widows' sons. And we should take care of those veterans. And we should always take care of those who are serving in the community. Because every day that they put on the uniform, it is a day that they may not make it home. And unless you're doing that kind of job, unless you're willing to do that kind of job with the tools of the trade, are weapons. If you're willing to do that kind of job where any day it could be on and popping and you might not make it home, or if you're doing that job, then I understand. You got room to talk. But if not, let's just respect those people that's willing to do the job. Let's give respect to those people that may have perhaps wanted to do the job, but because of some type of disability, they couldn't. Everybody has a role to play in this society. Nobody is any better than anybody else. We are all a part of the human race. And perhaps, I forget what president that made this statement. Maybe it was JFK. I don't recall, family, but it was something that went a little like this. We are so divisive towards one another. We hate one another. But perhaps if there was an enemy that was not of this world, that was not of this dimension, that was not of this realm, came they seek and destroy to wipe humanity from the face of the earth. Maybe then human beings will learn to get along. Maybe that's what it's going to take. Maybe it's going to take something astronomical like that. An invasion of the world, not just a country, but of the world. And unfortunately, our little BS AR-15s and AK-15s and 300 blackouts and all this Glocks and this and that ain't going to do no good against what they got. Maybe that's what it'll take. Maybe it'll take a war of the worlds for human beings to finally get it together. Well, family, always remember, be more tomorrow than you were yesterday. Peace.